So tonight I'm going to cover my 10 top tips to start boosting your immunity straight away that won't cost you a fortune. It's really easy to start Googling lots of things, and actually you end up either with a really long list of supplements or a long list of things to do, and you just don't do anything in the end because you don't know what actually works. So when we focus on food, it's easier. You can add those ingredients whenever you make a meal. Just think about it. Just think, how can I boost this meal to make it, winter ready? So let's get started. So tip number one, I talk a lot about this, but it's really important and it's a really easy one to remember, is to go for colour. And number one, I actually said go for a colourful breakfast. Because in the winter, we tend to crave carby food, maybe porridge, maybe toast, just plain toast with butter, maybe some jam. So think about adding some colour. Okay, so yes, at this time of the year, you may have to use, for example, if you go down the route of berries, you can use frozen berries. I use blueberries, raspberries. In fact, with raspberries, I mash them smash them even with a rolling pin to break them up, still frozen, and I sprinkle those on my daughter's breakfast, so they melt instantly. And it's just added antioxidant. So yeah, think about your berries for breakfast, but also just think about your seasonal fruit. So if you have a piece of toast, say with some almond butter for vitamin E, and then have a slice of pear, added fiber, and it just tastes really delicious. So number one, think color for breakfast, obviously for your other meals of the day, but to make a bit of a difference, think about that. You could also have a little smoothie with your toast or your porridge. Again, you can pack it full of nutrients. So that's tip number one, okay? Tip number two is to think about adding some seeds to your dishes. So hemp seeds are really wonderful. And if you go for the whole hemp seeds, the one that the shell has been removed, they're really, really nutty and creamy. So you could use them in soups, onto your porridge, or in smoothie, make it really, really creamy, really nice. So hemp or sunflower seeds as well in fact, most seeds are rich in antioxidants and contain essential fatty acids, which we need to keep our cells nice and healthy. So that's tip number two. Think about seeds, and they're really affordable. So you can buy a big bag. You can buy mixed seeds. That's really nice. I think Holland & Barrett's used to do an omega mix, which was lovely. So have a look at that. Tip number three, you probably know about this one, but it's to think about garlic. So garlic is really, really powerful. It can help fight infections and bacteria. And there's a little research actually in the UK where 146 people had a placebo or had a garlic extract for 12 weeks. And the garlic takers were 2/3 of these people were 2/3 less likely to catch a cold. So really powerful. So try to incorporate 2 cloves of garlic a day, especially if you're feeling run down. That's a really nice thing to do. Okay. You can also get a supplement, but it contains the sort of powerful component from garlic, which is called allicin. So that's another thing you can take as well. But adding 2 cloves of garlic, and what I do with garlic to really benefit from it is I tend to add it right at the end of the cooking so that it doesn't cook for too long. So the best way of doing it is you crush it, you leave it for 5 minutes, because that's when things happen. Basically, all the goodness from the garlic actually develops. There's minutes where it's been crushed and we leave it alone, and then you add it at the end of your cooking. That's the best way of having it. Okay, so that's tip number 3. Number 4 is to, I basically recommend to eat fermented foods. Basically, that goes alongside supporting your gut. So, like I mentioned previously, our immunity is very much linked to the health of our digestion. And in fact, 70% of our immune system is located in the gut. So if you feel sluggish, then that will have an impact on how your body can fight for yourself, basically. So try incorporating. So if you want to go down the route of making it yourself, fantastic. I'll admit I haven't made my own sauerkraut yet. I should really try it because I think it's really easy to do. And it lasts quite a long time as well. You can also buy it. And when I say to people, if you kind of go, oh, sauerkraut, I'm not sure about the taste, just even use the brine, the liquid from that pot, and add that to your salad, to whatever dishes you're making. You can use kimchi, which is a spicy version, to add into stir fry. You really don't need a lot. If you like it, if you're getting used to the taste, brilliant. You can increase bit by bit, but bear in mind that your body may not react brilliantly at first because you're giving your body lots of good bacteria all of a sudden. So really go slow, but it's really powerful. So things like kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso has some beneficial bacteria as well. Natural yogurt, just check the label. It actually says it contains friendly bacteria. Okay, not all contain some, so important. So yeah, tip number 4, eat your fermented foods. Tip number 5 is looking at teas. There's some lovely herbs out there and spices that are so beneficial for the body generally. Number 1 is ginger tea. I was feeling I had a little tickle in my throat this morning. I had some ginger tea. I was fine for the rest of the day. Absolutely brilliant. And so it contains antimicrobial properties, can help boost your immunity and just help you stay healthy. If you find it a little bit spicy, just add a bit of honey, a bit of lemon. But I really love ginger tea. When you have a bit of a cough, it really helps clear this mucus. Really, really helpful. Another tea that's really nice for immunity is hibiscus. So it's usually mixed with other herbs or fruits, but also has an antibacterial properties and antimicrobial. Plus, it's got a really nice level of vitamin C and antioxidants. So there's lots of herbal teas that contain hibiscus, but yeah, and if you find one that's got a decent amount, that's a good one to have. And also green tea. Green tea is packed full of antioxidants. So again, really, really helpful for the immunity. So that was tip number 5, to basically include more herbal teas with those particular ingredients that are known to boost the immunity. Number 6, if you like them, is to add more mushrooms into your diet. Again, that's not difficult to do if you like them. Obviously, if you don't, I never used to like them. I'm getting better actually, but my husband doesn't like them, so I buy them not very often, but I buy them for myself now. And again, research has shown that most mushrooms have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, so that's really amazing. So if you're going to have eggs for breakfast, add some veggies on the side and add some mushrooms. Really easy to do. And then a little tip, obviously not at the moment because the sun, I think, has disappeared for a while, but if you put your mushrooms in the sun, it basically the vitamin D levels in the mushroom increases when the mushrooms are displayed in the sun. So this is quite interesting. Obviously, when the sun is showing up. So obviously, there's some lovely mushrooms that have perhaps more properties than others, but if you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can just go for your classic button mushrooms. So you can try shiitake, you can try reishi, that kind of thing. Portobello mushroom are great as well. The shiitake are supposed to be very beneficial for the health, but all have really good properties. Number 7, it's a little bit different. It's about chewing your food really, really well. So, why am I suggesting this? Again, this is to support your digestion. So when you are enjoying a meal, try to take your time. I know it's difficult when we are rushed and we've got lots of things to do. But if you can really take your time, even just for 15 minutes, to actually enjoy your food and chew really well, it just means that your food is not going to, well, it's going to be broken down really well in your stomach. And it means you won't get any bloating later when the food reaches the small intestine. And when we start getting bloating, that's when we start feeling sluggish. And that's when the body has to work extra hard to digest the food and to process it and to do, you know, what it needs to do with it. So when we are looking at boosting our immunity, we want our digestion to work 100%. So, you know, if you feel any kind of discomfort, it's really, really important to address those. Okay, so chewing your food really well is a really good tip. Plus, you may find that you eat slightly less because you're taking more time. You're allowing your brain to realize, actually, I've had enough food. It needs 20 minutes to register that your stomach is full. So actually chewing, you know, and eating slowly is beneficial on so many levels. So that was tip number 7. Tip number 8 is something that I recommend for people who come to me with digestive issues. And it's basically to eat 2 kiwi fruit before breakfast. And 2 things, basically 2 reasons why I'm suggesting this. Number 1, the kiwi fruit will help you kind of cleanse your digestive system. So if you're someone who tends to suffer from constipation, this will help you clear your system. And then number 2, of course, kiwis are very high in vitamin C. So, you know, fantastic to boost your immunity. We need lots of antioxidants to fight all these toxins that are flying around and the viruses and colds and flus. So 2 kiwis before breakfast, particularly if you're feeling run down or if you're, you know, if your digestion is a bit sluggish. Tip number 9, to eat protein at every meal. And again, you know, we talk a lot about this, but, you know, important to think about breakfast, to have some kind of protein at breakfast. So it could be your nut butter, it could be your seeds, it could be an egg. And why do we need protein? Because our body produces energy, produces, you know, to take care of our cells and all the different systems that are going on, we need protein. And if you have protein at every meal, you're then working on your blood sugar balancing. When our blood sugar is nicely balanced, our energy is nice and constant. We don't have this roller coaster effect where we feel really high when we've had a meal and then we crash later on. Our body really does not like that. So eating protein at every meal, so it could be, as I said, eggs, meat, the oily fish for omega-3, fantastic. Okay, I'm not saying you have to eat fish for breakfast, but just think about how you put your meals together, because it really makes a difference. Tip number 10, actually, I have more than 10, but let's do the 10 first. Tip number 10 is to enjoy 2 Brazil nuts a day. Why? Because they contain selenium, and they actually contain the amount of seleniums that we need in a day. So if you like Brazil nuts, it's a great way of getting selenium. 2 Brazil nuts, that's all you need in a day, okay? And then, so that's kind of my really, you know, nice way of kind of boosting your immune system, just by focusing on these little ingredients. They are everyday ingredients, really. But it makes a difference. You know, I like to say we are boosting our health 1 bite at a time. So we don't stress over it, just, you know, try to find ways that work for us. That's really important, because otherwise we don't do it, right? If it doesn't fit in our busy schedule, we just give up, don't we? So it's better to do something than nothing. And then another bonus tip is to drink. Obviously, we need lots and lots of vitamin C, okay? And a great tip is to drink your vitamin C throughout the day. So how do you do that? You could squeeze some lemon in some water and have it in a bottle and sip that throughout the day. And why I'm suggesting doing that is because vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin. So when we take it, if we take a big dose in one sitting, the body will absorb what it needs at that moment in time and then release what it doesn't need. So what we want to do is supply our body with, regularly with vitamin C. So if you break down your dose throughout the day, it's going to be more effective. And another thing is, if you have too much vitamin C in one sitting, it may actually give you loose bowels. So you don't want to do that. So you can either use citrus fruit. I mentioned lemon, but you could do orange, you could do grapefruit, tangerine even, or you can get yourself a vitamin C powder and mix it with your drinking water. So there we go. Drink your vitamin C during the day. And then 2 more tips, okay? Number 12 is the 3 S's. Think about your sleep. Have as much sleep as possible. The body needs to rest. It needs to recuperate. It needs to repair itself. And the more time you sleep before midnight, the more beneficial it is. I know it's really tempting to spend lots of time watching, series, and I do it sometimes, and then you really struggle after that because you feel tired. So sleeping as much as you can. So that's your first S. And then watching out your stress levels. Our body does not like stress because it has to fight. And while we're fighting for that stress, we're not fighting for anything else. And then sugar, to try to reduce that. I know it's Christmas time and there will be lots and lots of temptation, but if you're particularly feeling run down, try to reduce your sugar intake while you're recuperating, definitely. Okay, and then my final tip for this evening, because it's super important, I have to talk about this again, even though I've talked about it during the challenge, is to test vitamin D levels. It's super important for immunity, very important for us ladies, for bone health. So the best thing to do is to get it tested so you can then take the right dose for what you need. So there we go. These are my top tips for this evening on how to support your immunity in a really simple way that won't cost a lot of money.